and welcome back to the Repair Panda. Today we're working on a TK-3173 that is labeled as a no power up. So let's go ahead and get a battery on it and see how it acts with a battery. No display, no boot, no beeps. I'm wiggling the line pot, nothing comes on. Alright, let's open it up and see what's going on. Normally they have two screws. The screws are missing, so we're going to have to replace those. There should be a piece of plastic right here that's gone, so we'll replace the housing later on when we reassemble it. And here we go. So we want to get underneath the top board because there's a bottom board underneath there. And to do that, we got to remove these screws. So let's go ahead and remove. Yeah, that should come up, and we have one more screw right there. Alrighty. Now that should just come right up. Take that off of it. There we go. As you can see, there's the bottom board. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these flexes. That way they are not in our way. Alright. Now we're going to set this board off to the side. And as you can see, you have a B right here. That's how you know where the battery contact positive is on this radio. And right below it, so this screw right here is bringing in the power. Right below it is a 0 ohm resistor. So let's get our multimeter into continuity mode, which means it beeps when it finds a complete pathway. And we'll check on both sides. Alright, so that fuse is good because it is beeping. So we know that it's not the fuse that's causing the issue. So the only other thing that could be possibly causing this issue is this channel selector right here. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect it all and bring out the channel selector. To do that, we pull off the top rubber mat, protective mat, get our nut driver Kenwood has made, and pull it and unscrew both the channel selector and the volume pot lock nuts. There we go. Alright. With these two nuts off, we're going to desolder the top locking position, grounding position, and peel it up. From the top inside on the PCB board, there is another grounding position. So let's go ahead and desolder that as well. And now the flex should come out. And then these should just wiggle on out. They're a tight fit sometimes. Don't know why they made them like that. And that's it. So we're going to be replacing this entire thing. This is the flex, volume pot, and channel selector. So we're just going to toss that away. And here is the new flex, the new volume pot, and the new channel selector. So we'll go ahead and put the channel selector on first. Make sure the pins are all lined up. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and solder this in place. I want to make sure it's down, all the way down at the bottom, and laying flat. To help you with that, go ahead, you can use some tweezers to help lay it flat. There we go. And now with the first one on there, we can get the rest. Come on. There we go. Just like with everything I do with through holes, I come back with the desoldering that to make sure all the pins are soldered correctly. Now we go ahead and do the same thing for the channel selector. Alright. I'm sorry, the volume pot. We just did the channel selector. It's the same thing. We want to make sure it's all nice and flat on there. So use your tweezers to push down, and then just go through and solder each pin. to the flex. And again, just to double check it all, quick little tap at the desoldering gun. And now, when we put these back in, they're going to be flipped up, like, and the pins can't touch. So you want to get your little snippers and just snip the excess pins off both the channel selector and the volume pot, so that it looks like that instead of the pins still extruding out a little past there. All right. So now that this is done, we're going to reassemble it into the frame, and after that, we'll get everything put back together and see if the radio turns on then. All right. To get this in there, you fold these up so the pins are facing each other, and just start aiming for the holes in there. And then you want to get your tweezers. Make sure that the flex that goes through the hole that we pulled out gets back through the hole. All right. There we go. And then this flex that's all the way down here, this gets folded towards where we unsoldered the old one originally. And there you go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get this into place. Get some solder on there. Make sure it is soldered into place. Let's go. There we go. That is now soldered into place. Now we come up to the top. Now we come up to the top and do the same thing. So the top has a little cover on it, that little white cover. So if you get some thin tweezers, you can get that pulled off. And then go ahead and get it lined up to where it needs to be soldered on. And because we pulled that glue tab off, it should stay in place for us while we solder it. So we're going to go get some solder on our tip and add it right there. And there we go. Once again, just make sure that it is soldered very good. And it is. So now we go put the nuts back on. So you have two different nuts. You have a gold one with 4 pathways and a silver one with only 2. The gold one goes to the channel selector, so we'll put that on the channel selector. Silver one goes onto the volume pot, as you can see there. And then we just hand tighten it down on the volume pot before we bring in the nut screwdriver. And giving it tight. Then we flip it around to the four-way. Tighten it down. Give them a little wiggle test. Make sure they don't wiggle too much. You don't want to crank these down so they break, but you want them down good enough so they don't wiggle around a lot. So now we put back the rubber protection on the top. And then we're going to put everything back together and see if it turns on. I'll be right back. And once I return, I'll have everything put back together and hopefully the radio will turn on. All right, now that we got it almost all the way back together outside of the external housing, we're going to put the battery back on and turn it on. And there you go. Unlike the 3180 we did in the last video, this video, it was actually the volume pot that had an issue with the being able to supply voltage to the boards to turn on. And there you go. Now we have a working TK-3173 radio that just needs a new housing and another bench test to make sure everything else works on this radio. But thank you for tuning in and enjoy the video of the TK-3173 no power up. Have a good day.